Good afternoon and welcome to National History Day in Arizona's Performance Basics Professional Development. My name is Dr. Rex and I am here to walk you through if you're planning on doing a performance for the 2024 National History Day as a project. I am hoping that we can give you some ideas, some guidelines. Always know that you can reach out to us individually, but this is for anyone that is thinking about taking their project to that performance level. First, we're going to kick off our Turning Points in History, the annual theme. Turning Points in History is also the 50th anniversary for National History Day. So there's going to be a lot of excitement around this theme. So when you are working on your project, please know that it's your job to pick a topic that relates to the theme. And you want to make sure that whatever project you do represents the theme and why your topic is a turning point in history. The theme's intentionally left kind of broad and it gives you a lot of freedom, but let's focus on when you're thinking about a turning point. What comes to mind about turning points? Is it a specific turning point in the medical world, where all of a sudden we were able to save people's lives? Is it a specific turning point in a world war? It's basically a time where there's some type of definite change in a situation, especially one that will result in something. It's a critical moment. It's one of those moments of truth. It could be an individual's inner struggle that suddenly became something that made some kind of huge difference. If you're going to pick a topic and you're going to be doing such deep research, please pick something you're passionate about. Make sure that you can very easily tie whatever you're passionate about to a turning point. You're going to want to focus on, is this significant? Is my topic important enough to be considered a turning point? You might start off sort of broad, but be sure to narrow it down and be very specific. Sometimes kids will pick a great theme, but it's too broad and it's too hard to cover. And don't forget performances. Well, performances are 10 minutes long. Here's some words that I hope to share with you. They mean something pretty specific during a presentation. When you're doing your presentation, you're going to want to block your 10 minutes. Blocking your 10 minutes means that you're going to make sure you include everything you need during this performance. Honestly, those first 2 minutes, you're really going to have to jump in and share your theme. Be loud, be proud, and share it. Blocking your time will allow you to make sure you stay focused and you can include everything you've researched that is pertinent to your turning point and your theme. Costumes are, it seems like an easy word, but when you're developing your costumes, please remember that your costumes need to be reflective of that period and that time. And if you don't have something that's super fancy, less is more. Dark pants, white shirt. If you don't have a costume that can completely evoke that time, keep it simple. Historical context. When you're writing your script or you're working on your outline, make sure that you are including the historical context of that time that you're focusing on for your theme and your turning point. When you are writing your script, you want to make sure you are including historical perspective. Whose perspective? Let's say you're going to pick a turning point that's a battle, and you want to do your presentation on a very specific turning point battle. Whose historical perspective are you going to use? Are you going to be up on a hill witnessing this battle as a perspective? Are you going to be down on the trench in the actual battle? Or are you going to be on the other side, the other team, so to speak, and giving your perspective from that angle? Make sure you're very clear on whose perspective you're entertaining during your performance. You got to have a hook. Nobody likes to watch a performance unless there's some kind of drama involved. So you're going to have to grab them and ground them and grow them into that presentation as soon as you can. Those first 2 minutes of your presentation are critical to get your audience involved. Why am I watching this? What's going to happen next? Remember that you, as a performer, also may use props. You don't want the props to be more than the performance, though. There's a fine balance. A prop is a thing or an item that has to have historical context and has to have existed during that time. That way it will enhance your performance. Do not think you're going to wing it. I don't care how smart you think you are, you have got to write a script. You have got to wordsmith it, because your words are powerful in your performance, and you're going to want to make sure that you have a script clearly written out that involves the theme, that has some type of hook, that definitely has some kind of problem or resolution that's going to happen somewhere within your presentation. And it all has to go in your script. Remember to be super objective. When you're developing your theme and your script and your performance, you want to be able to share the exact point in time, how that person was feeling, but you have to be very objective to what is going on around you in your performance. Those of you that have already been researching, you're probably in that research evaluating phase. You're starting to get some ideas that are coming together. If you're preparing for 2024 spring regionals, this is a bit of a way to ensure that you'll have what you need. Don't forget that you're going to want to check out the NHD rulebook, because there are some specific things about performances that you can and can't have. And when you do your bibliography, it would be wise to be doing it all along as you're gathering and researching, and use the annotation guide. There are many samples out there. Here's one sample for MLA formatting. Some people use MLA formatting. Some people want to use other things. That's not as specific and critical as the fact that you are double checking your bibliographies and you're making sure your facts are straight. In March, some of you have contests. We have contests. We're adding Yuma this year, and they're going to already be performing in February. But February and March is the critical time to get your practice in. Your regional contests are done. If you make it to state, the judges' feedback is what you definitely want to focus upon to prepare for state. The last contest is on March 23rd, and then April's going to be right around the corner. And on April 13th, we're all going to be at ASU for state. So this is just a sample of, to help you keep focused and in line as you are developing your presentation. Here's an example that you can use. Now that you've done your research and you have that fabulous theme that directly aligns to the topic and the theme for NHD, who's going to tell your story? Who are you going to be? Are you going to be a very specific historical character that there's a lot of information on, that you're going to have to be very honest and true to their words? Are you going to have some composite characters who, as you're doing your research, you're going to find all these great facts and you're going to want to include them all, but remember, you only have 10 minutes. So take those important elements from your research and develop characters that are a composite of all these things that you feel are pertinent to your presentation. I think there are advantages of being the historical character, but you have to stay very true to that character because you are representing their words. But I think the power of the composite character also helps you get your message across of how this truly was a turning point in history, or what was said or done that created this turning point in history. So be sure as you do your research that you keep a very clear idea of, are you representing actual historical characters, and you're going to have some supporting composite characters, or are you going to have primarily composite characters and have a little bit of the historical character that's going to play out in your presentation. You got all your facts, you've done your research, you have to create an outline. Your outline is going to keep you true to your theme and your focus. You have so much information at this point, you've researched so much, you have so much passion for your project. Now you have to stay true to the theme. Figure out what that one common thread is going to be that you're going to weave over and over into your narrative. Maybe have a list of key components that you want to make sure that are going to get in your script written in your narrative. You have a definite starting point and an ending point in your presentation. There will be a beginning, a middle, some kind of drama, and then there has to be some type of conclusion. And don't forget, you only have 10 minutes to put it all down. Here's an example of a sample outline. Starting with your topic and your thesis, you want to jump in and introduce that person, that place, that event, whatever you want your main point of your presentation to be. And when we talked about historical context, as you talk about your story, remember you're in a very specific era of history. What was going on economically, socially, culturally? What was happening in the political climate of the time? If there's ways to weave those conversations or that information into your presentation, that will help support and strengthen your presentation. And like I said in the beginning, there's always got to be a conflict. You have people watching you, you're performing, but they want to know, what was the disagreement? Where's the tension? What is the problem? So they can try to start thinking how you're going to solve it as they watch you and as the performance unfolds. If you can weave the topic of NHD's theme in, all the better. It helps your judges understand that you're staying on point, your topic fits to the theme, and it is definitely a part of their rubric when they're judging your presentation. Don't be afraid to repeat the words turning point in history or some key phrases that align your topic and your thesis to this year's theme. Why are you doing this presentation? What was the historical relevance of this person's life, of this turning point, of this incident? History is always changing and shaping and reshaping. How is your choice of topic significant? How would our world be different if someone did not invent something or stand up for something or ensure something got taken care of so something could be saved? Focus on the relevance of your topic. When you get ready to do your script, take plenty of time to brainstorm, focus on where and what type of settings you want to make sure that your audience are going to get to experience. The more you can incorporate your primary sources, the better. Obviously, your primary sources are going to help develop your theme. Judges are looking for a historical argument. This is where you, as the performer, gets to really state your case and why. But you got to be prepared to back it up as evidenced by. When you're writing your script in the back of your mind, make sure you answer those questions. Does each section, beginning, middle, end of my script, lead to where I want to end up? Does it make sure it includes everything I want the judges to know about my topic? Is it really telling my story? Are my characters' words and actions really lining up to what I want them to portray? It's not your job to take on a famous character and give it your personal twist. That's not what your performance is about. Your performance is about staying true to your character, and through your primary research, you should have some good evidence of what that character was, how that character behaved, specifically by using letters or journals. You can even use specific verbiage of that character. So be very careful when you're representing a historical character. It's not about you, rather it's about all the work you did developing those primary sources. People like to watch things that stir emotion, and people love conflict. People love drama. Can't get away from it. We can't get enough of it. So make sure that when you're developing your script, you're emulating, or there are words, or there's feeling, or there's emotions that is developing something that lets me know something's going to happen. There's something going on. There is going to be a conflict, and I want to know what happens next. All right, you've written your script, you've thought about your setting, you've blocked out your chunks of time, you've got a little bit of a handle on the costume, you know what props you want to use. Now's the time you want to do a test run. And it's just not one run, this is a marathon. You want to test run this on literally anybody who will listen. You will share this with anybody who's willing to watch. When you are done, you want to make sure they can tell you what your thesis was. You don't tell them, hey, did you hear that? No, they should be able to tell you from your 10-minute performance very clearly what you were trying to share in that 10 minutes. Did you have enough supporting points? Was there any question to the accuracy of that historical time? Was there enough action to keep their interest? You got to grab them in those first 2 minutes. Are you telling a compelling narrative that makes me want to know more? And at the end, is there a definite ending and a conclusion? Sometimes I've watched some performances last year and they were awesome, but they just kind of petered out at the end. And I was like, so what's next? There was no wrap up. There was no ending. So make sure in your script, you be sure to include something that lets the viewer know this is the end. I've been watching a lot of NHD performances, and I highly recommend it to you all. I get sucked down a little rabbit hole, and I've watched about 8 or 9. There are some myths that go out to people that choose performances as their projects, and I just wanted to help you out. There's a myth that if NHD students sing or dance in their performance, then they are guaranteed to advance to the next level of the contest. Is this true? Absolutely not. Singing and dancing, if it has historical context and it is relevant, can add to your performance. But if you think you're going to sing and dance for 6 minutes and think that that's enough for the judges to get the gist of your thesis, I highly doubt if it's going to be successful. And if you cannot dance or you're not that great of a singer, it may just detract from your performance. I'm just saying. Should I use an accent? I love a good accent. I'm not very good at them, but I love a good accent. If the accent is true to the character, or if you've made up a composite character that's going to have an accent, that is okay. But if the accent detracts from understanding the words that you wrote so carefully in your script, I would suggest you lose the accent. If the accent is going to overpower the performance, you might consider not using an accent. Ooh, costumes and props. Make sure that you understand very clearly that you're setting the stage for your performance. Keep it simple because you have to travel with all your costumes and props. You yourself have to set it up and break it down. Your parents can't help you. There's not supposed to be, you're the performer or the performers within your group, and you have a block of time that the judges are measuring. So when you're setting up your stage, make sure it is manageable. What items or backgrounds are a must? If there's a story that needs to have something in the background, yes, it does add to it. But don't make it so elaborate that you can't manage it or that it takes away from your performance. If there's a prop that is central to your story, yes, you definitely want to use it. If there was a feather pen that was used to sign something that was a turning point on a historical piece, then yes, you're going to want to have that prop that is central to your story. Because asking your audience to imagine is okay, but if there's a prop that you think is truly indicative of what your thesis is, you're going to want to try to incorporate that prop into your presentation. Remember, you have a set amount of space. If you got too many props, are you going to be tripping over your prop to move across the stage? I'm hoping you're not standing in one space, because then it becomes just a bit of a monologue. So you have to determine, when am I going to stand over here? I'm going to move over here. I'm going to exit off so the other characters can come on. You have to consider the space that you're allotted for your presentation. You did a lot of hard work, and your words are your showcase. If you have costumes that need to represent a certain time or a character that's going to help your audience understand better, great. There is a performance rule. You may have assistance in producing your costumes or props, but the design, choice of fabrics, etc., must be your own. You may buy and rent a costume. See Rule 10 for more information on that. I looked over the rules before I put together this PowerPoint, and they really do give you a lot of leeway. But remember, NHD isn't about what your family or your friends think. It's about what you think and what you develop. So the more that you do, and help is reasonable within reason, but ultimately, this is your show. This is your passion. This is your topic. And you need to be a part of every piece of this performance from start to end. Remember that a performance is more than just memorizing. Do practice all the time. Trust me, do it in the shower, do it on the bus. Ask people to watch. The more people that take in your presentation and give you feedback, the better and more confident you are going to become as you build this presentation, and it will become second nature. Make sure you memorize your pieces, and when you're talking, you are now that character, and the inflection in your voice is powerful, and the emotion that they can see on your face will tell the story much better along with the words. Don't be afraid to experiment and change things up, but I do not suggest you change things up 48 hours before your performance. If you think you're going to do this massive rewrite before you go on, I don't think it's going to be as successful as you want it to be. Is it a good idea to record yourself, even though you don't like to hear your voice and don't like to see yourself? Some people aren't into that, but that's okay. Record yourself and then break it down step by step. Oh, I should have moved over here instead of standing still. The more you watch and practice, the more second nature it will become for you. As you're getting ready for Z Fairs, that is where you have to go to sign up to participate in National History Day, Arizona. There is a registration fee. You will have to have written materials submitted. You will have to have your performance ready. You do not have to pre-perform. Sorry, I have a thing on documentaries on this. You don't have to have your performance ahead of time. What you do have to have is possibly with your process paper and your bibliography, if you have a copy of your script, that might be something that you might want to also add. That way we know that you are feeling that you are the best prepared for contest day. On contest day, dress nice, have your costumes ready. Make sure that you bring 5 copies of your written materials for your judges. There will be a title page, your process paper, and your annotated bibliography. If you need to put all your props and costumes in like a tub or something that's easy to set up and tear down, please practice setting up and tearing down. That way you know how much time it takes you to actually get prepared, because you're going to want to give yourself at least 30 seconds to take a deep breath, Get into your character before you stand up there and the judge gives you the signal and says, begin. Don't forget to introduce yourself, the performance title, and keep it simple, nothing else. Once you're done, they're going to have some questions for you. Answer your questions as passionately as you did when you selected your topic, because this is your piece of work. I highly recommend you go to National History Day. There are performance examples. When I was watching the performances, I noticed how they definitely chunked their time with a beginning, a middle, and an end. I could tell that the theme was interwoven in the presentation. The props were a definite enhancement. There was only one where I was like, I'm not sure why they had that, but hey, it was a national winner, so what do I know? What I took away from watching these performances as I was practicing to prepare for you guys was the emotion. These people, whether they were a context character or the main person of their actual presentation, they made me feel like they were that person. They were speaking their truth. They did it with passion. They did it with conviction. They did it with commitment. And you could tell that all their theme and then their thesis and their primary research, everything came together. And the historical importance was very evident in all of these samples. So I highly encourage you to go to National History Day and just type in National History Day performance examples and a ton will pop up. So that was the down and dirty on getting ready for a 10-minute presentation. I want to thank you for your time and I wish you the best of luck. If you need some help, please feel free to contact us at nhdaz@azhs.gov. We have a YouTube where we upload these. We have a website. I cannot encourage you to go to the Library of Congress strongly enough. They have a ton of stuff. We will, as it gets closer to the regionals, and then definitely between regionals and state, we will set up office hours. And that's a time where you can set up and we can grab a few people and we'll set up a Google Meet and you can walk us through your process, talk to us about your thesis. If you want to maybe video it and share it with us, maybe we can help break things down for you or give you some suggestions. What I really suggest is you grab the rubric for the performance and use that as part of your guide as well. And I think that's about it. So I will stop sharing and I will thank you all for coming in and look forward to, I believe our next one, we are going to be talking to a gentleman from the Holocaust Museum, and he's going to have all sorts of interesting information. And then we'll also follow up with exhibit basics. So thank you so very much.